It started innocently enough, or so I thought. A quiet Monday morning, sipping coffee on my porch, when I noticed heavy machinery rolling across the far end of my property. Bulldozers, cement mixers, and a line of workers setting up foundations. My first thought, what on earth? Then it hit me. The HOA had started building cabins, 84 of them, on what they assumed was unclaimed land. They'd used a loophole in the subdivision map, thinking no one would notice. But they hadn't counted on me. I wasn't just a ranch owner. I was a retired attorney, the very person who had drafted the state's easement and property access laws decades ago. I grabbed my phone and called my old law office. "Yes, I'll be needing copies of my original easement drafts," I said, calmly as the dust from the bulldozers drifted toward my porch. By the time I arrived at the site, the workers had poured some foundations, but nothing permanent. I walked calmly toward the HOA project manager, clipboard in hand. "Good morning," I said, smiling. "I see you've begun construction. Interesting choice of property. Tell me, do you have permits for private land that isn't yours?" The project manager blinked. Well, the map says." I cut him off. "The map? I personally drafted that easement. I know every foot of that property. And you, my friends, are trespassing." A murmur ran through the crew. Bulldozers idled. Cement mixers stopped mid-pour. The HOA representatives paled. I pulled out a printed copy of my original easement law draft, highlighting the sections that explicitly protected privately owned land and restricted development without owner consent. Section 4, paragraph 3, I pointed. "Unauthorized construction is considered a criminal offense under state law. You've built on my land. Every cabin you've started is illegal, and you will be held liable for both civil damages and the cost of removal." Karen, the HOA president, tried to interject. "But it was just a mistake. We thought it was community property." I chuckled. "A mistake? The only thing mistaken here is thinking I wouldn't notice. I know every plot, every easement, and every loophole. And this one doesn't exist. You've trespassed. And as the attorney who drafted the very law you're violating, I can assure you, this won't end well for you." By mid-afternoon, the story had spread through the HOA like wildfire. Members arrived in panic, trying to argue, negotiate, and offer bribes in cash and favors. I listened politely, nodding, and then waved them off. "No, gentlemen, you may leave your foundations. You may leave your equipment. You may leave quietly before this escalates to law enforcement." One worker tried to move a bulldozer forward. I shook my head. "Step back, please. That's still my property. And if you proceed, your insurance won't cover the penalties. But if you leave now, no harm done." By evening, the crew had retreated, leaving 84 foundations behind like unwanted footprints. Karen looked like she'd aged 10 years in a single day. The HOA's board was already drafting apologies and promises never to encroach again, though I knew they'd have to compensate for legal fees if they tried anything. Later that week, I placed official no trespassing notices across the entire property, legal citations attached. From then on, every attempt to cross my land was met with a polite but firm reminder of who owned the easement laws and who enforced them. The moral? Knowledge is power. And when you've literally written the laws that protect your land, you never have to worry about someone building 84 cabins without your permission. Karen, the HOA, and every board member learned a crucial lesson. Never underestimate the person whose pen crafted the law. From that day forward, my ranch remained untouched, my boundaries respected, and the foundations of 84 imaginary cabins stood as a silent reminder that trespassing comes with consequences, especially when the owner knows the law better than anyone.